Everyone, welcome to another episode of the Pull Up Trade Podcast, the Raptors podcast that covers the 5-5 Toronto Raptors. 500 with one of the hardest schedules in the league to this point. I'm Samson Folk. I'm the co-host. I'm, as always, joined by the Trey that pulls up, Trevon Heath. How you doing, Trey? How you feeling about a 5-5 team?
I'll take it, honestly. We went through the gauntlet pretty much to start the season. To be 5-5 after like the despair we felt maybe for a few days is it's pretty good.
5-5 after 1-4. I'm not gonna turn my nose up at it, not in the slightest. And as you said,
100%.
the gauntlet, the land of the giants. We have numbers. We're doing like the good and the bad of the Raptors' first 10 games. That's what this podcast is trying to achieve. We have numbers that say this Raptors team is much better than 5-5. We have some numbers that could, I guess, present as difficult for them to overcome over the course of the season. And we'll focus in on some players and all that kind of stuff. I don't have a big Brandon Ingram thing for us, like a huge thing. Maybe we'll do a big one after 20 or 25 games, but
Yeah.
the short version, the elevator pitch of Brandon Ingram so far as a Raptor. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, BI's been everything that you wanted to see. Like he's been given the bulk of the creation for the Raptors. He's been asked to make some of the toughest shots on the team, and he's hitting his mid-range jumpers at the highest clip in the league. So it's allowed everyone to get much easier shots. The defense, Trent Walford, Trent Walford took him to town. PJ Washington has done the same. That's a bit of a work in progress, but offensively, he's fit the bill.
I think the two things that I've not liked so much about Brandon's game so far is, as you said, the defense, and then two, just committing to actions without knowing the
Yeah,
ball's coming to
he
him is
floats.
an important aspect of that. But I also gathered some numbers for you because we talked about his mid-range pull-up last time. So I went and looked at every year since he became a Pelican, since he became like a vaunted player.
Yes.
So over 1,945 midi pulls since becoming a Pelican, 47% he shoots on those. So where I was saying, why not keep it at 55? And you were like, if it's 45, I'm over the moon.
Yeah.
If it rests at like 47, 50% in that range, I'm very happy. His two highest is last year on a lot lower volume, 48.6%, only played 18 games. The year before, 48%. He has a year, 2020-21, where it was 48.4%. He has two seasons under 45%, but never under 44. So it's a pretty good bet
Yeah.
that he's going to hit 45% this year, and we cross our fingers for even higher. Ingram, also try not to spike the water bottle. That's a tough one. Try not to spike the water bottle. But
Oh,
Ingram, we went pretty deep in past episodes on how he's
yeah.
helping to facilitate things. That's the Ingram of it. Glad they traded for him. It is crazy that because the Pacers with Tyrese's injury and then everything that happened at the start of the season blowing up upon arrival, it
Yeah.
might end up being like a top 3 or 4 pick got traded for Brandon Ingram. That's life sometimes, man. It's not
Yeah.
always going to shake out the way you see it. Let's start with the good. And the good here is that the numbers think that the Raptors are a pretty strong team.
Mhm.
They're 5-5. They have the second easiest schedule, according to I don't remember where, over the rest of the season. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's just this is cannon fodder. Who knows?
Yeah.
But per cleaning the glass, the Raptors are still ranked 7th in half court offense. They're 10th in overall offense. They're 13th in overall defense. Their expected wins per cleaning the glass is 48.6. They're still number 1 in transition frequency. That's a lot of numbers that say that this Raptors team is trying to point the North Star north of 45 wins.
Mhm.
Where's the temperature check for you on that?
This is what I've been hammering home all summer. This is the amount of wins that I wanted to see. I don't think their defense, at least from the eye test, has looked as good as their like the efficiency says it has been.
Teams have
Just
been
based
getting blown the hell out, man.
yeah.
It's crazy.
Which I think like, just will just even itself out overall. But the offense, I think, has some decent legs. Like their bench units come out and play super fast, super aggressive, create tons of turnovers. They're first in transition frequency. That's something that they'll be able to maintain throughout the entire season. And they have so many different finishers in transition that they go to, whether it's RJ, Bi, Scotty, Emmanuel Quickley's been better at it of late as well. So the offense definitely has like more legs to stand on than the overall defense. But I think the really curious part I want to see is they haven't gone on a stretch where they've played bad teams, and they're still at a lot of they're still at this efficiency. So they're going on a run where they're going to play Brooklyn, for example, tonight when you guys listen to this. They should be able to torch this team considering the other teams that they played throughout the season so far.
A loss to Brooklyn would be I'd be kind of
Devastating.
crestfallen at that. I'm impressed with a lot of this. If anybody wants a deeper dive into these numbers, our episode the on the Raptors offense is very, very thorough. I don't want to retread everything we said there, but the Raptors are hitting open threes. They are getting into the paint. They're running out in transition, and the numbers like them a lot. Defensively, as Trey just said, I mean, it'll probably even itself out. There's always, the start of the season is always like, damn, the numbers are going to the moon, and then it finds its equilibrium. The bad stuff. Are you interested at all in hearing what the potential bad stuff is?
You got to hear everything. Let's do
All
it.
right. The bad. They are one of the worst rebounding teams in the
Yep.
league. They have a lot of trouble closing out their defensive possessions. They're 26th ranked in the NBA. And on top of that, it's not just that they can't close out the possession and give up an offensive rebound, it's that they're giving up a lot of points after that too. That they get the first stop, don't close it out. And some teams are a little bit better at getting the second stop. The Raptors, they've not been incredibly good at that. Some of this, when you watch it, seems like we'll just beat them to the punch. It
Yeah.
seems like wings are crashing on them. It seems like guards are getting to loose balls. And obviously big men, yes. But the land of the Giants run of the schedule is over, at least to some degree.
Yeah.
Losing it to wings is tough, but also when like Brandon Ingram's had some better rebounding games, but you look at their wing players and the fact that they are sending Scotty Barnes out in transition, they're going to keep giving up more stuff here. And Jakob's been injured for however what's he
Yeah.
played 3 or 4 games. It's just if they have to keep babysitting Yoks back, if they want to keep getting points from Scotty out in transition, they need probably CMB to step up in a major way, Ingram to step up in a major way, Sandro to step up in a major way, and RJ to step up in a major way. And I don't know the likelihood of that. But again, the
Yep.
numbers still like this team. Something that I do, their 3-point attempt rate is pretty low. They don't get up a lot of threes, but it's not a terrible thing so far. Obviously, they're scoring the ball well. The big other problem here, they don't have a strong high volume lineup yet. And the starting lineup is still losing their minutes big time. They're getting absolutely torched defensively,
Yep.
which was the worry, was that this team or this lineup was it's hard to project the type of defense they want to play and how it's going to be good with those guys. They have a bunch of positive lineups. They've won minutes, but they have been piecemeal, galaxy brain together by Coach Darko, who's just trying to throw stuff out there and see what
Mm.
works. A lot of the transitional stuff has, but we don't have a big lineups winner yet. When we think of the best teams in the NBA, they always have one of those lineups. You can be a good team without having something like that, but man, it helps. How do you feel
Yeah.
about that aspect of it?
I do think like the starting lineup based on the defense they want to run, like we've been hammering home for all summer, like doesn't make sense, and it I think that won't change. I think the most clear thing within that starting lineup, and you see Darko like trying to give some guys off the bench the chance to fill that slot, is that their point of attack defense is just abysmal. Whenever they've played a strong on ball creator, they've gotten torched every single game. Tyrese Maxey is another example of that. And you see in those lineups, Jacoby will get a chance. Ochai has gotten a chance within the lineup. He started the other day, and he got absolutely obliterated by Tyrese. He was a traffic on that night. So
That's the NBA's leading scorer, by the way.
he's
Still.
cooking 1 yard away. 1 yard away. But,
That's funny. For
but
anybody who doesn't know, this is referencing our boy Michael Grange, our guy. He said that the Raptors were on the 1 yard line to trade Kyle Lowry for Tyrese Maxey.
oh,
I would never push back on Mike. My sniff test, I don't know. but I would have loved to have Tyrese Maxey on this
It would
basketball
have
team.
changed our lives. I think big thing with the starting group is that they need that defensive guard to make lineups to help lineups make sense. And I think a large reason why Shed has been very impactful is that the Shed Quickly lineup that we saw gave them the lead in the game. It allows Emmanuel Quickly to play in in the way that best suits the team, as he's an off-ball guard defensively, off-ball guard offensively, and that's his greatest impact. And then in terms of the rebounding, while Mamo has been great, CMB has been great. They've had a very hard time rebounding against other bigs. Some of that is obviously playing some of the largest teams in the league. So I don't think they're going to be 26 to end the season. But if the Raptors are good heading into the deadline, I still think they need to fix that backup big slot because Mamu, for the large majority of these lines, he's guarding other fours, and whether it's CMB, Mobo to a lesser extent, and Scotty, they're guarding the other big. And I think you still need a guy that can win possessions, close out defensive possessions, and help you get in transition much quicker.
The big thing here, their highest volume lineup, and these are not big numbers, so it
Yeah.
could swing back the other way. The change of just Sandro instead of Yock, it really solves everything in the early data. Now, these numbers haven't normalized or stabilized, but that's a huge swing. And it is largely because the Raptors just score the ball well enough that, you know what? They get to set their defense more often the way they want to. Scoring well is always going to help out your defense, but also it is a testament to how much Jakob has been struggling with his back, his mobility. If we look at, we've all seen what Jakob has looked like at his peak. You and I would often chide and poke fun at like when he'd be ranked top 10 in defensive, like perimeter defense
Yep.
talent or whatever. We'd be like, all right, I don't know how they're collating these numbers together, but he's not that good, but he's not this bad. And he's clearly been battling something. Now, there's a conversation that is being had all the time about his extension in light of this. Listen, tough. If this is something that sticks around and is present nonstop, that's tough. But I'm just going to cross my fingers and hope that
Yeah.
Jakob finds health at some point in time. The lineups, Caitlin told me quite a few times, she was like, I don't think their starting lineup will be their best lineup. I don't think that, she was like, they might even have to consider changing it. And, she advocated for it on the podcast we did
Yep.
together. And I was like, I just don't see it happening. I'll ask you quickly. I'll ask you fast. Do you do you do you entertain this at all? We get a lot of fans, a lot of
Yeah.
listeners, readers who say like it should be shed instead of IQ. It should be X instead of Y. Have you moved an inch on any of that?
I've been pro change the starting line before game one, but there's been no one on the team that's proven that they should be yielding those amount of minutes. You've seen other guys get chance like Jacoby. He was probably the most sticky guard on Maxi yesterday. The only one that probably offered some resistance, but you got to be able to do something with the ball. And when he's on the court, he's non-existent offensively right now. Something he's probably working through. Ochai just obviously just hasn't been good enough on both ends, and Gradey and IQ, it just isn't tenable defensively. Like Shed to some degree, but you're giving up tons of size. You're hoping his defense can hold up, which I think right now it's the trajectory is going up, but I wouldn't say it's strong. So there isn't an option on the roster currently to change things, in my opinion.
Yeah. Regarding the Grady stuff, that's like a hot button issue. I think it will be all season. We'll have a larger Grady conversation towards the back end of the podcast. The Raptors, they have stuff to figure out. It's Darko's job and the players' jobs to, I guess acclimatize themselves to the new, what's it, the new reality and go from there. The number two good thing is that Scottie and RJ are about as good as you could want. And so we'll get into we'll talk about each of them respectively, but just to do the numbers, Scotty, 19.9 points per game, 4.9 assists, 7 rebounds, 49, 45, 76 splits, 58% true shooting. He's 14th in the NBA in BPM. He's 14th in defensive win shares. He's an 81st percentile transition scorer. He's averaging 3.2 stocks per game. RJ is averaging 20.7 points per game, 4.7 rebounds, 3.8 assists, 55, 40, 75 splits for 65% true shooting. And he's shooting 73% at the rim, 42% on his catch and shoot threes. And he is the 79th percentile in points per chance as a driver in the NBA. These guys, as far as you and I and many analysts kind of wish casting and forecasting what it would look like this season, they've kind of met the moment exactly. I don't even know what else I would be asking for here from these guys. Like, oh, a couple extra layups a game for Scottie if they can create them.
Yeah.
Sure. RJ, uh, better defense. Sure. I don't know, but they've been incredible. Who do you want to discuss first?
Let's talk about our Jamaican son. Um,
Okay. Lead on, lead on.
Scottie's been everything that you would have asked for. His efficiency has gone up. He's taking much better shots. The defense has been all NBA level. Most of their biggest runs, it's him defending other bigs and having versatility to go out to the wing also and create havoc in that way. And he's being used in ways that gets him efficient buckets, whether that's him being the role man, him getting in transition and being the ball handler, getting early seals and scoring at the line. Well, I know that he's not going to be a 45% three-point shooter. That will actualize. But I still think they're leaving stuff on the bone, like offensively, especially in the half court. Ingram and Scotty, I haven't necessarily seen enough synergy yet where they can work off each other, get switches on smalls, and kind of play off each other, similar to what Pascal and Scotty did, which was super efficient. That hasn't come out yet in the half court sense. I still think his points per game trajectory could go up simply just by getting easier looks in the half court. But overall, like Scotty is fitting the bill. He's fit his max contract. And if he plays this way with this defense, like he'll get some sort of accolade, whether that's all-star, all first defense, or all NBA if the Raptors are good.
Yep. The 19.9 points per game, I agree with you completely. That can go up. Uh, this has not been a super friendly start to the schedule in terms of how can Scotty Barnes score against the team across from him. And
Yeah.
he's still tied with his career high in points per game. Some of that is, elevated by the fact that he's hitting 45% of his threes. But on top of that, too, we discussed this last episode. They're giving him open looks. They're saying, like, be an NBA player who hits open threes, and he's hitting them. They're not always going to be this easy, but it's not always going to be this hard for him to get into the paint. It can go up from there. The defense is where I want to stick. So the BPM and defensive win shares, that's just for people who like those numbers. I know some people love them and like swear by them. VORP, BPM, et cetera, et cetera. EPM when it first drops. I don't think they have their first numbers out. Regardless, Scotty defensively is my mouth is agape all the time. I'm like shocked
Cook.
at how good he's been. I don't think the numbers even accurately reflect just how strong he's been. And the numbers love his defense. That's not new. But he has so many plays every game where he's supporting a teammate to move the ball on, recovering to his own man, moving the ball on, and just constantly giving that parry to what the offense is trying to do. And we know this Raptors team, they want to play a certain style defensively. They have some defensive pieces, but a lot of it at times does come down to like, can Scotty Barnes be a hero on the play? And we're seeing it quite frequently. He's making the hero play, whether it's like blanketing the corner to corner pass, rotating back over to pin Kelly Oubre off the glass, whether it's blocking Giannis twice in a span of 3 minutes, whether it's sticking with Embiid and then hanging in and block. Like the he's been able to go up and challenge guys at the rim during this stretch in a way that like Jakob Pertl might not even be able to. That level of like gumption mixed with his rare gifts and physicality and how he reads the floor, so good. There were also 2 plays against the 76ers where his ball reversal, it seems like a simple pass, but the pace and quickness with which he makes it creates the whole play. to just see the defense shifting towards him. You and I have talked about it for years. Be a hub of some sorts.
Mhm.
The defense attracts to you. Make the perfect play in zero point 0.2 seconds when most guys make it in zero point 0.7. You create these zero point 0.5 advantages for your team over and over. He's been so good in all the in between stuff. And then all of the numbers, the classic numbers, have been good, have been strong. 25 and 7, it's not going to get you all NBA or all star typically,
Mhm.
not at 58% true shooting. But when you account for the fact that he's probably very deservedly going to land on an all defense team if this Raptors squad makes the playoffs, that is where you start saying probably a very strong all-star case. And maybe in a down year where a lot of guys are injured, you're looking at all NBA. If he keeps it up, it could be there. And he's the biggest reason for the Raptors' success so far. He deserves a lot of love. He's been what a player. RJ Barrett. You wanna
Yeah.
you wanna visit with me there?
Yeah, let's do it. Are, I can't say how proud's not even a word. Just how much commitment he's had to the team and the way that they've asked him to play is tremendous. He's played completely different than what he's done as a Nick. He's adopted new roles. A lot of guys after the season that he had, taking on a lot of ball reps, having a lot of success as a pick and roll playmaker. The team committing this big of a trade, then asking you figure out your flow within the offense. It's not as though that they're running plays for RJ Barrett. He's the fulcrum within the offense that can take the ball, get to the rim, flow off of the action set coming from Gradey, from Bi, even for Scottie. He has become like their best play finisher out of everyone in the team, which is shocking. There was a point in time where him being a average catch and shoot 3-point shooter was not even a question, and now he's one of the best on the team. He offensively, like he's irreplaceable for what they want to accomplish, and when they get in transition, he's their best player at getting in the rim and creating something. So he I know at the beginning of the season, I said this last pod, that he's the most likely to get traded. There's no option for an extension for him. But he has made it incredibly difficult, and that's all you could ask for him.
That's all he's done, man, is
Yeah.
just try and make it
Mhm.
more difficult on a front office and like a league that wants to see him as like a shooting guard from a bygone era. He's like, no, I'm gonna keep sticking in. And we're gonna talk about it later on, but there are players who we have to like conjure up theory for. Like it can work if this stuff happens. RJ is a guy who's always just been like, if something can happen, I will be doing my damnedest to make it happen. He acquits himself to the role. The 79th percentile as a driver in the NBA is a huge number because, as we talked before, to this point in his career, his best asset as a driver was his playmaking, and then suddenly he's shooting 73% at the rim. And the last time we checked in on this, which was like 4 games ago, he was also shooting 73% at the rim. And this is a guy who I think his best year is what, like 62, 63%. And that, if he was shooting 62 or 63, it's still good. But
Mhm.
right now, it's at a place that's so strong 42% catch and shoot three. He's just done a fantastic job. As you said, not a lot of plays run for him, but the Raptors, when they need a bucket, they say, okay, let's go get Jakob to bring him out of the corner. Let's run like a tight screen curl or a handoff, and let's see what they can create because RJ has a nose for the rim. He'll cause a rotation, and we'll work from that advantage. They know, especially with these teams that we've been seeing who've been flattening out against the Raptors. And, Scottie and Brandon have been kind of vexed by that. RJ is the guy who says, if you flatten out against me, I'm going to get the head out and I'm going to get beyond my man's hip and I'm going to touch paint. And I just think he's done a hell of a job there. He doesn't have the same defensive stuff as Scottie to
Yeah.
make these types of offensive numbers look like they'll translate to an all-star game. But RJ, he doesn't get paid like an all-star. He's not expected to be one, but he's a star in his role right now. He's doing a hell of a job. The Raptors are not remotely close to seventh ranked half court offense. They're not remotely
Yeah.
close to a top 10 offense. without RJ. Kudos to him. Tip of the cap. Do you want to get on to the final bad of the episode?
This one is gonna hurt me, but I kind of have to.
Yep. So Quickley and Gradey are still theory players at this point.
Yeah.
You and I, the Gradey stuff pains me because he'll put the play on tape that you're like, this is the play that makes him valuable. And like he'll stutter rip through a guy on the perimeter and create a layup, a shot of his own creation. That's not happening from Ochai or Jacoby or
Yep.
Jamison. It's not happening from a bunch of guys on the roster. There's like 3 guys on this roster who can do that. And Grady's one of them. And he's shooting 47% on his catch and shoot triples. So if he can do that, get a paint touch, has a sky high free throw rate, and hits open triples,
Yeah.
then you're like, okay. Not to mention, teams are wasting time defensively to hunt him. And teams are not scoring well with Gradey Dick on the floor because they're spending too much time trying to work their way to like, how do we involve him? What does this look like? He's hung in a little bit better than you might expect. And it's just, it's the thing that happens sometimes. This isn't to say he's good. It's to say that teams for a regular season, in playoffs are probably different. Regular season, they're devoting too much time. But Gradey is 4 of 13 at the rim. You know?
Yeah.
4 of 13.
It's
It has to be north of 50%. It has
Yeah.
to be. You see agonizingly long some of these layups staying on the rim. You see some of these truly like, man, what decision are you making
Yeah.
with the trying to take on Embiid in transition on 3-on-1? Brother, just lay it back, you know? But Ochai has not been strong at all.
Yeah.
Jacoby has not been strong at all. Gradey has been the best player there by
Mhm.
some measure, but he could be even beyond that, some measure better. Like, given the shots he's had, we should be talking about Gradey as like a full-fledged positive, and Darko should be able to send him out there without a care in the world. But he just isn't converting quite enough on the stuff at the rim. And it's like, you just got to get that down, man.
Yeah.
That's the Gradey of it.
It's tough. He's in a position where like some guys get drafted into a place where you're not asked to do a lot. You're in 100%. You're in the best position to succeed possible. And since he's been in the league, the Raptors have asked him to do very hard things. They've asked him to run off sets and be a movement shooter pretty much from day one. They've asked him to play at the point of attack and hang in there with some of the best guards in the league. They've asked him to
Go get VJ for us, please.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, I jumped out of my seat. There's very few times since the Blue Jays have lost. So I've jumped out of my couch. Oh, brother. That split through was crazy. But he's being asked to do things that don't necessarily fit his skill set or just like his tenure within the league. But you see how the Raptors are guarded when he's on the floor. The Atlanta game's a huge testament to that. When he's getting open looks and the defense allows him to get corner threes, or the Raptors create advantages through that way, he can put up points in bunches because open shots for him are very easy. But defenses do not allow him to get open shots because the Raptors are devoid of shooting across the roster. He's relied on to take most of those hard shots. So you see a guy who clearly has 90 percentile shooting talent is underperforming to the expectation that people want to see on the court.
I'll
But
give you some numbers really quick.
go ahead.
Gradey, he's 47% on his catch and shoot triples. We would be over the moon with
Yeah.
this, obviously. He's 75% on his wide open looks. He's shooting 100% on his open looks. He's shooting 25% on contested looks. Gradey, I'm glad you're hitting the open stuff, but as Trey just said, teams don't want you to get a lick of it. So
No.
if you want volume, you got to hit some of the contested stuff, and 25% is just not going to cut it.
Yeah, it's tough. But him being guarded that way allows everything to be easier for everybody else, which is why he's been a big minute winner. It allows guys like Scottie and RJ to get downhill because another team cannot help off weak side in the corner. He's going to score from three, and it allows things to be easier for us across the board. So for him, like I don't think the Raptors are in a position, especially like off, like the off guards on the team haven't performed well enough for him to not have consistent 15 to 20 minutes a night. And the defense, regardless of who's been there in the backcourt, has been atrocious. So you need guys that affect the defense that make things easier because this team is going to need to score until they fix their point of attack defense. So like a so-so start for him overall. I still want more, but still see the vision, which is why he's a theory player.
Yep. It's the theory stuff, of course.
Yeah.
And the defensive stuff, they're just not allowing a lot of points when he's on the floor. And you look into it, I'm not gonna give you a ball of yarn. I'm not gonna lead you along the golden
Mhm.
path here. I'm not saying Grady's a good defender. I'm saying that teams are dedicating a little bit too much time to try and figure out where he is. And that does create a bit of like a bias in the mind of like, oh,
Yeah.
this guy is getting killed. But then every time he's on the floor, teams score worse every single time. And it's because they're not running full offense. They're getting away from what they want to do. And this happens from time to time with players. And there's a point where teams stop hunting guys in the regular season.
Yeah.
In the playoffs, you're always going to get hunted. Grady will, if he becomes a rotation playoff player, I mean, God bless, but he'll have much bigger questions to answer there. But we'll just see how it's going. We had a question from a listener asking, like, how can you make the case for why Grady needs to be played? Grady's just been better than the other guys.
Yeah.
Uh, Contrary to popular belief, the Raptors do not get killed defensively when he's on the floor. And his gravity, if he's above the break, there's way more room below it. If he's in the corner, driving gaps open up. And if he gets an open look, he has been banging that. Emmanuel Quickley, also a theory player, far more proven than Grady.
Mhm.
He has 175 million to prove why, but part of that is theory on what he'd become as a point guard, on what he'd become as an off guard. And he's being asked to do things that he wasn't typically, like pressuring the ball. He's being asked to do things like, move a little bit more off ball and punish as an off ball shooter. And this is a guy whose skill set, quick, agile, unbelievable shooter. You would think that stuff is very easy for him to take to. We see RJ, not nearly as vaunted a shooter, is just like, yeah, I'll take catch and shoot threes. I'll shoot decently above the break. I'll hit 42%. I'll hit
Mhm.
38, 39% since becoming a Raptor. But quickly, it's not the transition to who people, coaching staff, front office, fans want him to be, is still stuck very much in the theory. He's played better lately. How
Yeah.
do you feel about him right now?
I try not to think about the contract 'cause that's never a player's fault, obviously.
Yeah, go get your money, man.
Yeah, yeah. I if I can negotiate a contract for as much as possible, please overpay me. Please, in every corporation or faction that I'm involved in. But um it's still disappointing. It's it's tough. Um BI has obviously allowed him to play off the ball more, but that hasn't correlated to his three-point shooting going up, which is the big theory of why you've got this offensive hub. I think he still struggles to be able to run off of actions, create shots off of those actions, which is tough, which is why a lot of those threes are concentrated above the break. It gives him tons of room. He's incredible at shooting them. But similar, if he could create similar gravity and get shots off actions like Grady does, I know he's not 6'7", but it'll allow the Raptors to play a lot easier. It will give him more function within the offense. And then the driving has obviously like been abysmal, which is tough. I think the biggest challenge is that he doesn't necessarily have the size and athleticism to get all the way to the rim, so a lot of shots lead into floaters. He's gotten tons of shots blocked at the rim, which has been tough as well. I think what you want to see to pop once he gets downhill is the playmaking. I know like Jakob has been a cheat code for the Raptors in those situations. His floater was one of the best in the NBA last season, but if his playmaking can pop in those situations and not bail out the defense in terms of a floater, just because those shots are very difficult. They come and go based on your touch. It'll get the Raptors to at least get ball reversals, get teams moving in actions, and be able to score at the rim in other ways. So for him, although he is playing better, I still want more. There is no reason why he shouldn't be taking 8+ threes a game.
Yep. The big thing here is that Quickly, over the past few games, has actually done a much better job of keeping his dribble alive. There, it was something I picked up on, like, I don't know, 8 games after he became a Raptor. I was like, man, he's killing his dribble really early. And then it was something that started to show up nonstop. And now, as I think a very mainstream critique of his game, the past few games, he's done a much better job of keeping his
Mhm,
dribble alive, gnashing, working a little bit harder, out to the corner, see who he brings with him, like that kind of stuff. But as you said, athleticism, that's decision making, and that's he can skirt around some of that with decision making, but he's the second percentile in the NBA in rim frequency on drives. So he's a point guard. He's supposed to, get in the paint. He's supposed to, create some stuff. And he does touch paint every once in a while. He just never shoots at the rim. And shooting at the rim, I know we just said Gradey was 4 for 13. That might make it seem like it's not efficient. It's very efficient. Shooting at the rim is really good, and he just never shoots there.
yeah.
Uh, and especially off his own drives. You're a guard. You're supposed to be, the fastest one or three players on the floor. You're supposed to have a handle and agility that grants you access to spaces on the floor, and he just is not bringing any of that. It's disappointing. As you mentioned, the 3-point attempts are not high enough, 6 per game. He's shooting 34%. And he does all of this while being number one on the team in touches. I think Brandon
Yeah.
Ingram is number 4 right now. I think he goes Quickly, Scottie, RJ, Ingram. Some of that is due to being the bring up ball handler, yes. But he also, we can give big shout out Jamal Shed. As a bring a ball handler, you can inject a little more pep and pace into this
Mhm.
thing. And Quickly, I think just really hasn't mastered that aspect of it. And he seems really far away. And everyone was okay with that, I think, because they thought he'd be able to just like easily slump back into that massive volume shooting off ball. And that hasn't come either. So he's in a bit of a rock and a hard place in terms of, developing as a point guard and
Mhm.
developing as an off ball guard because he was a tweener always and he's remained a tweener.
Yeah.
And, guys can get out of that with development and time, but it has really stuck with him, I think.
Yeah, I think a big challenge that you see on the court is just like how he operates off the ball. Like similar to Bi, they sort of float on the weak side of the court and aren't running off of actions. That they Bi is much easier. He can float off on the weak side of the court, expect the ball to come towards him, and then he can create out of a phone booth.
Yep.
Emmanuel Quickly isn't does not have those gifts. You have to be able to run hard off pin downs, create from there, kill any closeout that you have because a guy of that size, like the opportunity is like more finite across the board. His 3-point shooting like will decide like how valuable he is to the team. And if you can jump that to 8 or 9 threes a game because you're able to get yourself open off pin downs, off curls, off flares, and score for in that sense. Like you saw even last night, he scores in bunches when he gets 3-point shots.
Yep.
The issue just isn't he isn't hasn't been able to create open looks for himself. So I think that's
One
the number
thing,
one thing you can see from him.
one thing he can do when you're pushing and you have numbers in transition, give the ball up and sprint to the corner.
Yeah,
The
Chad's been
the
great at that.
the ball might find you, man. And and even more than that, if it doesn't find you, it's in the hands of someone who's going to have a much higher percentage chance at finishing. Grady, same thing. Give the ball up and find the corner. It might not be as fun as like sometimes the layup really does. You part the C's and you have an easy layup, and there's 2 points that you hardly had to earn, but give the ball up to a strong driver and decision maker. Go fill the corner, and the defense is gonna struggle with that decision. it's really important for both, Quickley and Gradey to start making those decisions. Quickley, obviously, 26 now, 27. I think
26, yeah.
26. Yeah, 26. He's got what I think Gradey turns 22 fairly soon, but he's got a handful of years of
Mhm.
experience and just age on him. But we'll see. Theory players, Gradey, that finishing, man. If I could wish for one thing, it's that finishing. He's done a better job of not getting trapped in as many mid-range pulls and just
Mhm.
deciding to move the ball on. I think he's shooting 50%, 57% on his mid-range pulls right now, low volume. But I like that the volume's lower. I like that he can hit tough shots. I just need it to happen more often because the easy stuff has been going in at a crazy, absurd rate. Just hit some of the contested stuff. There's a reason people are like shaking their fist at the sky, like, why can't Gradey shoot the three? And he's shooting 39%. Like the
Yeah.
expectations, they're hard, but that's the job. There's a reason why so many like movement shooters are guys who did 4 years in college. And then otherwise, if they're a guy who came out early, they usually have a pretty good chance at becoming a star.
Mhm.
Like Duncan Robinson is what, like 31 right now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He came in when he was 25 and he's like, you know what? I'm pretty skinny now, but I work really hard and I know I can shoot it. And we go from there. Gradey, we'll see what happens. He's still the best of the bunch thus far, but yeah.
Yeah.
And quickly, you still need him in the starting lineup over Jamal. I like Jamal as the change of pace. I'm
Mhm.
enjoying it immensely. Anything else about the Raptors before we get out of here?
Go watch S's video on the bench mob. The bench has been the probably, I wouldn't say most surprising. Someone did say the bench was going to be good this year, but um, go watch S's video again. Prayers for Jamaica always, and we're gonna crush the Nets tonight.
Fingers crossed.
Imagine if it
Uh,
was. Oy.
also, uh, we want to see Jamison Battle more as well.
Yeah,
Everybody's asking
yeah.
for it. We want to see him more as well. He got 3 seconds of game time last game.
Yeah.
um,
I just thought it was assumption like he's going down to 905. They don't want to burn his legs, but I don't know.
no, I don't think it's
No.
that. I think everyone's getting a look, and
Yeah.
Jameson is doesn't have a lot of I think pull from his
Mhm.
position, one, or his agents or whatever, two, and I think they just know like he'll be there, and
Yeah.
he'll be there. Josh Giddey, I mean, Pokashevsky played more than Aaron Wiggins at one point in time for the Thunder. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's just the guy ahead of you,
Mhm.
and politics is present in basketball. Anyway, uh, I'm Samson Folk. This is Trevon Heath. Prayers to Jamaica. As you said, Jamaica has their own link that you can provide all the stuff to. Um, Honestly, you'll find it probably the first. When I was looking for it,
Yeah.
it was just like support Jamaica. It showed up as the first link on
Yeah.
Google. So, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hype, all that good stuff. From myself and Trevon, 5-5 Raptors on their way to 47. Let's hope.
Yes, sir.
Have a blessed day and goodbye.